What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another Angle of Pursuit podcast, your fantasy football, sports betting, and NASCAR home here at fakepigskin.com. I am your host, Kyle Robert. You follow me on Twitter at NotoriousKRO. With me once again, it's Brian Twining. What's up, Brian?
What's going on, Kyle? I'm pretty excited to talk about this Sunday slate of games now, as there's plenty of good matchups here and plenty of money to be had in these games.
Absolutely, yeah. So we did a pod yesterday. We talked the Christmas Day game plus the three games after that. We'll see what the contact tracing if the Lions Bucks game actually happens as planned, or if it's a day later, or what happens. But we did, so we broke down all four of those games plus a couple of the college lines that we like for the rest of this week. In this episode, we'll basically be going through the Sunday Monday slate, talking about all those games, the ones that stand out to us, and where we're feeling like attacking it. Before we do that, if you are enjoying what we're doing, make sure you mash that thumbs up, make sure you subscribe, make sure you turn on the bell notifications so you know when we go live Sunday mornings to help you with your fantasy squads. We can do a little week 15 recap. We didn't really do that yesterday. Great Saturday for me, 3-1. I was feeling ever so good. But as I mentioned on our live stream, I felt like Sunday was going to hit me hard, and sure did. I hit, let's see, I went 1-4, 1-4 on Sunday. That was, shouts to the Rams. That was two losses right there. Um,
Let's just say
Jalen
the
Hurts,
Rams killed me too. That afternoon slate was horrible.
yeah, the Jalen Hurts was a play away from potentially covering that game. The Jags were never in it against Baltimore. And I took the under on Titans Lions, which combined for a total of like 74 points. So right on the mark this week. It was beautiful.
uh,
How did your week go?
so I mean, it started okay, I guess. I've made some bets of games that I didn't have on my card on the show that I won, but everything that I spoke about in college football was an absolute disaster, including Notre Dame team total over 24, and they barely even mustered 3 in that game. And then Sunday, started off with a bang. I had the Bills. I took the Ravens. I love them. I love San Francisco scoring plenty of points against Dallas. And then, like I said, that afternoon time slot with the Rams is absolutely crushing my tickets with taking them first half, taking them for the game, taking them on a live line multiple times. Like, yeah, it was not good.
I'm thinking I just need to bet Saturday games and you bet the Sunday games, and I think our record would end up being a lot better. And good call on BYU, by the way. That was a look ahead line. That line definitely moved in your favor. I think you got it at
3.5.
Yeah, and it ended up closing at 6.5 or 7, depending on where you got it. So that's pretty aggressive. That's how you do it. That's how you jump on the line. We got to stop doing these podcasts during games, or at least I need to stop betting on them because yesterday's BYU game went horribly for me. FAU is not doing really well right now. Memphis is driving up and down the field, so it's been fun. I had Southern earlier today, so that was an easy win. As I mentioned yesterday, if you like a side on a college football bowl game, take the favorite to cover or take the underdog to win outright. That happens far too often in bowl season. Trying to figure out who's motivated and all that stuff is a little bit of a challenge. But if you feel strongly about a side, just take them with the points or take them on the out. Either if they're underdogs, take them outright. If they're favorites, take them with the points, and usually that will come. If you want to be a little less aggressive, I mean, I get it, but oftentimes it's how it works out. So, Brian, as we always do, we got 3 games to run through. We'll hit our best the rest. We can hit college football minute. If there's any other games we want to sprinkle in and kind of mention, we'll hit our best bet. We'll hit our little recap action, and we'll move along. I'll let you get started, and let's start with a really interesting game as the Colts travel to Pittsburgh. The Steelers were like a field goal favorite on the look ahead line. They're now a 1.5-point underdog. I know they didn't look great against Cincinnati, but this feels like an aggressive shift to me.
Yeah, this definitely is kind of a microcosm of the way Pittsburgh has been playing over their last 3 games. They've lost 3 games in a row now, all against teams with really good defenses, which is exactly what Indianapolis provides. And then, they're going up against a Steelers offense who's kind of been puttering along here with Big Ben. Just he doesn't look the same as the weather has gotten colder, as his net yards per attempt is career low right now, and it's one of the worst in the NFL. They're not going down the field. His downfield accuracy doesn't look good. They haven't been able to really run the ball until late in that game against Cincinnati. So I think that's why the line is set this way. But for me, it's so hard to pass up a home underdog for a team that began the season 11-0, who provides the kind of defense that Pittsburgh is able to bring to the table against a Colts team who they want to run the ball, and Pittsburgh's strength is against the run. Yep. So, getting the home dog like that, for me, it's almost like I'm going to run to the table and I'm going to bet that every day.
Yep. I will gladly take the Steelers as a home underdog. I think this line has moved too far. As you mentioned, the Colts want to run the ball. They want to get that ground game going and then, do play action and whatnot off of it. I know the Colts defense is better, but I just think the Steelers are too good, and I think they'll figure stuff out. Like, obviously it's been a lull and it's been kind of worrisome if you're a Steelers fan, if you're a Steelers backer, like if you got a nice price on them coming into the season. It's a little concerning, and we've seen teams that start hot kind of fade away, but they went 11-0. They were last undefeated team. Cash that ticket for you. So I don't know. I have a hard time fading him here. I think they get right here, and I think they figure it out. And I'm going to look to take the Steelers on the money line. As a matter of fact, I will put that on my card right now. With that being said, let's move along to a game that piqued your interest, and that is the Denver Broncos heading to the Chargers. The Chargers are a 3-point favorite in this spot.
Yeah, the Chargers are like one of the darling teams in the NFL this year. As over the first half of the year, Justin Herbert burst onto the scene, and he was putting up astronomical numbers for rookies, thrown for over 300 yards in multiple games this year. But as of late, this offense hasn't necessarily looked the same that we saw early on, and teams have kind of adjusted to what they wanted to do. Even the last couple of weeks with Austin Eckler back, they haven't been able to get the ball down the field. Even last week against an Atlanta pass defense was the worst in the NFL in defending wide receivers. The Chargers were only able to score 20 points against them, and now they're going up against the Denver defense, who even minus AJ Bouye, they still provide some decent, defense here. I know last week they got crushed, but that was to Buffalo, who they're kind of a juggernaut this year. And, the line set at 3.5. If you can get it at that number, I think that's just too much for the Chargers to be laying, as 3 of their 5 wins this year have been by 3 points, and the other 2 have been 10 to Jacksonville. And then I think it was like 8 to the Jets. I mean, we're talking about the Jets and the Jaguars with combined 2 wins that they barely beat by double figures. I mean, I just don't see a world where the Chargers defense is able to hold down Denver for the whole game either.
Yeah, and the Chargers, I like them as a underdog to keep the game closer than you think, or to find a way to backdoor cover the line if it's like, say, 7 or 10. But yeah, I'm not going anywhere near them as a favorite. If I was betting this game, I would definitely bet Denver, and keep an eye on that line, because as Brian mentioned, there is a 3.5 out there. If you can get a 3.5, I love that. At 3, I still would be, backing Denver big time, but for my actual card, I want that 3.5. So if you can find it out there, I would be happy to take it. Otherwise, I will probably sit back in this spot. What is the total in that game? Because I feel like that could be an interesting way.
49.
So it opened at 51 and it's down to 49. Is this basically the last 5 weeks, Justin Herbert's turned into like a check down king. His YPA has gone from like 15 yards per attempt to like 6. He's been just dumping and dinking and dunking, and Anthony Lynn, and obviously the Broncos offense can score, but have times where they either struggle or run a lot. Should we be looking at the under in this spot, or do you think, the fact that it's moved a little bit under 50 is actually something that could help us with the over?
Yeah, this is a spot where I'm actually leaning the over as the 49 because we've seen games where Denver, if they get behind by any amount, they kind of pick up the pace and they're able to move the ball and they put up, those garbage time points. And then if the Chargers are put in any sort of position where they're in a game where they're trailing, like if they go down in this game, you're going to see them kind of abandon the run and go more towards getting the ball down the field. And I think Mike Williams should be a week healthier, as we didn't hear any negative about this last game that he played. Keenan Allen, hopefully with his very limited playing time last week, should be a little bit healthier in this one. So I like the over in this game. I always fade the unders when it starts getting bet like that. It's just one of those signs to me that it's too popular and I'm going to go the opposite direction.
I like it. Let's head to Seattle and talk about the Seahawks as a 1.5-point favorite against those Rams. This is an interesting line, especially with the Rams coming off an outright loss to the Jets. To me, this screams back the Rams in a big way.
Oh, that's not good because that's exactly the side I'm on. I have a hard time trusting a Seahawks team who their offense is basically Russell Wilson throwing deep or Chris Carson breaking a bunch of tackles to score a touchdown. I mean, there really is no continuity in this game. And I don't see them being able to have sustained drives against a defense as good as the Rams, as we saw last week with Washington. They had a really difficult time moving the ball against that pass rush. And the Rams, the last time they played, it was a 23-17 game where they completely shut down DK Metcalf, limited him to only 2 receptions. And, what the Rams do well on defense is what this is perfect for what Seattle does really good on offense, which is go down the field with the ball through the air. And so I just think that this game is set up perfectly for backing the Rams coming off of an embarrassing loss. Sean McVay has been pretty good coming off of losses in his short time with the Rams. And I just don't trust the Seahawks. Their defense has been better of late. And it's also one of the reasons why I think my favorite play in this game is actually the under. The total is sitting at 47.5. And the Rams or the Seahawks, that for that matter, over their last 6 games, they're only allowing 16 points per game. And the Rams, even coming off that loss to the Jets, they allowed less than 300 yards for like the 8th time this year. So neither of these two teams are going to be able to move the ball a ton in this game. So I really like the under in this spot.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the total right now, and despite opening at 48.5 and 74% of the bets and 87% of the money, the line is moved to 47.5. So that means it's trending in the wrong way. That means books are getting bets from certain bettors that make it think, okay, we need to move this a little bit lower. I like that bet quite a bit. I will be backing the Rams in this spot, and I do think it's interesting. And to that point you brought up, if we think the Rams are the side, if we think they can control the ball, they can control the clock, then I think the under is the play as well. So, very, very much in lockstep with you. So it's either going to go great or horribly. Based upon my luck with the NFL, the past couple of weeks, it's not going well. It's pretty wild that the Seahawks, the Steelers, and the Chargers offense, like the seemingly sharp decline the past month and a half. I don't know what these coaches are doing. They're getting too cute. They're overthinking it. I'm not sure. Let's talk best of the rest, and let's hit any other games that stand out to you. Is there any lines? I think we could talk about my Tennessee Titans heading to Green Bay. It's been flexed into the Sunday night game. I believe it's been flexed.
Yep.
The Titans opened up as a 4.5-point favorite. It's a field goal on it plus 3.5. A bunch of people backing my Titans in this spot. I'm a little concerned about that, but where are you at with this game?
I mean, on the book that I primarily use, I mean, I can get Tennessee with 3 at plus money right now, and I think that's the play for me here. I just think that what Tennessee is doing right now on both sides of the ball, it sets up perfect for this game against the Packers, who Jamal Williams is looking likely to miss this game. So it's going to be a ton of Aaron Jones and the rookie AJ Dillon. And then outside of Devontae Adams, I know Alan Lazard played a lot more last week. I'm actually going to he'll be featured in my article this week, as I think he's in a nice spot. But Green Bay sucks at defending the run. And what does Tennessee do better than anyone in the NFL with their freaking hammer in Derrick Henry? And then off of that, they play action. So I think that this is a game where I'll be backing Tennessee with the 3. I like them even on the money line here to beat the Packers as a more well-rounded team in this game. And I see this as being very similar to what Green Bay faced last year in San Francisco in the NFC Championship game. I know San Francisco's defense is a different animal, but their offenses are kind of similar in the way that they like to attack the opposing defense.
Yeah, I like where your head's at. I do worry about that secondary getting picked on, and Robert Tonyan, who keeps scoring touchdowns, being a factor, and Devontae Adams is absolutely torching us. I do think, to your point, that maybe this could be a game. We've been talking, we were talking about before the show, like this. Even when games that Derrick Henry's been heavily involved, they still found ways for Ryan Tannehill to produce points. But this could be a very scripted, like, okay, let's keep the ball in our hands. Let's make Aaron Rodgers stand on the sidelines. So I think the Titans and the under might be a play here.
Yeah, because we spoke about the over-under, and it's definitely if Green Bay is able to kind of do whatever they want to do on the offensive side of the ball, then Tennessee is going to have to catch up. And as good as Green Bay's pass defenders have been, you're not going to stop this play-action passing game with Tennessee. And then I think this game could become a shootout. But because I like Tennessee in this spot, they're going to have to control the clock, keep Aaron Rodgers off the field, prevent them from getting in their groove. And when that happens, you see kind of the Packers fold because they're not able to get in sync. So it just like you said, to that point, like I'll be backing Tennessee and the under, which is set at the week's highest at 56.
Yeah. I mean, the Titans, if they have to score 30, 35 to win this game will go over and you will lose that bet. But I'm hoping and banking on them trying to at least going into the game, trying to keep this game under control, try and keep Aaron Rodgers on the sidelines. I do have concerns, but this is going to be a great test for my team because they're going to face some dynamic offenses and they're going to have to go through Kansas City. And if they can't slow down Rodgers and company, they have no shot against Mahomes. So I do think, from a live football perspective, I think this is a critical game. But yeah, I like Tennessee. I am a little concerned by how many people are on this team. You guys have to remember that the Titans have lost to both Cincinnati and Cleveland. They've struggled with Jacksonville at times. So I mean, I don't know. It feels. I hate seeing that many people on one side, but
yeah,
especially against a very public team like Green Bay. I am going to be monitoring this line though as it goes along. If this starts to balance out in terms of from the bets and spread and money perspective, or at least from a bets perspective, that means the public's starting to weigh in. That means the public's all over Green Bay, and that means Tennessee is the right side. And then if you can get them, maybe even if you can get them. You can get it up to 3.5. Like yes, I see at three with plus money. I kind of like that too, especially if you think Titans can win on the money line. But yeah, if you can get that hook, I'm loving life. Okay, so skip all the Saturday games. What other Sunday games are jumping out to you? Anything else from a number perspective, from a total perspective, sides you like, team totals, any of that stuff? What do you think?
I mean, you got to go back to the big D here in Dallas and look at that Philadelphia Eagles and Dallas Cowboys game where the Philadelphia Eagles pass defense has been pretty bad of late. The Cowboys pass offense has been like in the top half of the league over the last 4 or 5 weeks in terms of efficiency. They looked a lot more dynamic with Tony Pollard back there. Hopefully Zeke sits again for my fantasy football team's sake.
He's trying to play. He's trying to play this week.
He's trying to make sure that he doesn't get Wally pipped here.
Yeah.
And then when you're looking at the Dallas Cowboys, I mean, they're just getting smoked this year. Looking at their numbers, I know so they're actually top 10 in the league in defending the pass in terms of yards per game, but they're bottom of the barrel, 32nd, averaging giving up over 160 rush yards a game against the team who is bringing in an absolute monster in the RPO game. This game is going to wind up being, very similar to last week where it's going to be 30-28 or 28-27. And, so the total sitting in this game at 49.5. I just don't see how that's going to hit under. And I think that this game fits perfect. If you're going to tease a game, you tease the over down to 43.5, and that just start counting your dollar bills in that teaser with this game.
So 63% of the bets are on the over, but only 11% of the money so far. That concerns me.
Hey. That was the same for the Bills. The Bills and Pittsburgh.
I do worry for your Cowboys defense. So like Nick Mullins was able to put up 30 points on them last week. Imagine what Jalen Hurts is going to do.
Well, and the Cowboys too. They primarily play man defense, and they've been bringing a lot more pressure. They've been blitzing a little more over the last couple of weeks, and if they can't get to Jalen Hurts, that's going to leave plenty of open field in that second level for him and Miles Sanders.
Yeah. Let's see. Jesus. What have the Texans done to be almost a double-digit favorite against anybody?
I guess nobody watched the Bengals and Steelers game. I don't know how much overreaction we can have in that game, but
yeah. A lot of that was like, okay, this is the Bengals Super Bowl and they're playing against their bitter rival.
But let's also remember, Houston has the worst pass defense in the NFL this year. So you're looking at a Bengals team who has, even if Tyler Boyd sits this week, AJ Green has looked a lot better over the last 2 to 3 weeks. T. Higgins is still an absolute stud out there and seeing plenty of targets. I think this is a great spot for T. Higgins to kind of help fantasy owners also who need, a flex play here. I think this is his shot to have one of his best games of the year in a game that could wind up being, a catch up pace. And then on Houston's side of the ball, Cincinnati, their number one corner, that William Jackson, he's been dynamic and, awesome. But other than that, Pittsburgh, like we said, they've been floundering, so Houston should be able to move the ball, but I don't see Houston beating anybody by double digits. This is not going to be a repeat of Thanksgiving against Detroit.
Yeah. So the game that jumps out to me is the Jets at home versus Baker and the Browns. It's 9.5, 10, depending on where you look at it. I feel like this is a spot to pound the Browns.
It's so hard for me to finally jump on the wagon, because if I do that and they suck, then it's actually me who is in charge of the reverse psychology here with Cleveland, because I talk all this crap and they've been balling, and if I finally like their side, which I do love them, especially with Quinnen Williams going down for the Jets and being placed on IR. That leaves a gaping hole in the middle of that defensive line for Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt to just absolutely feast this Sunday. I think this could be a lower scoring blowout in terms of Cleveland, just kind of controlling the game, winning like 30-14. So this actually not hitting the over and then scoring plenty, but the Jets just not being able to, just not possessing the ball enough to be able to put up any kind of numbers against Cleveland.
Yeah, I also worry if they're up, 7 points late or 6 points late, how motivated they are. I think if they want to get out of there with a win, they stay healthy and be ready for week 17. So that is something that would concern me a little bit.
I think this is a spot if you do a 7-point teaser, this is one of the games that I think you add in there, because Cleveland I think they win by a field goal easy.
So we're taking the Cleveland Browns 7 points. Now they're at 3. We're taking Dallas Eagles over down to 43.
Are we doing 7 or 6?
We should do 7, right? Because then
let's do 7.
Then we're getting through 10. Then we're getting through 7 down to 3.
So Dallas goes down to 42.5 then.
Okay, 42.5. Cleveland -3. Let's find a third leg for that tease. Do we want to go Kansas City, which is 10.5? So they'd have to win by 3.5.
Oh yeah, I think that's probably
It's sometimes when it's too easy.
I was just gonna say sometimes that's just too good to be true, but
let's see if we can find a better spot. Because I do like if you take Chiefs, you're getting through 10, you're getting through 7. which is all like you always want to try and get through two key numbers. We could take Denver up to 10.5.
I do worry about them if Drew Lock gets into turnover mode. That this game could wind up being out of control. I would avoid that game because it's too turnover latent for me.
We could do the Bills -7, which get them to basically a pick 'em at, but that is on the road against New England on a Monday night, and I don't like going against road teams on a Monday night.
I think for me, the other side I would be looking at here is I think if you tease the Rams and the Seahawks total up to 54.5, I think that's a good spot for the
under.
under.
And then take the under.
Yeah.
Okay. Seattle under 54. Okay, we did it. We did the 3-team tease. So Dallas over, Dallas Philly over, Cleveland -3, and Seattle Rams under 7-point tease. It's probably, is that plus 120 or minus 120?
Plus 120, yeah.
Okay. So, 3 teams, pretty solid. If you want to get more aggressive, you can. The Chiefs would make some sense. Potentially Baltimore could make some sense. If you like Pittsburgh, taking them up to 9 could make some sense. You could take the Bears down to just having to win.
That's scary on the road in Jacksonville.
Because this is a spot where they trip up and just like lose the game outright.
Yep.
If Detroit and Tampa happens, like if you listen to the Saturday show, I like Detroit a lot. So if you can get them at plus 17, that could make sense too.
Well, speaking on that game, I did want to hit on that before we end the show here. I don't know if anyone else saw, but Detroit's probably going to be without their entire coaching staff. So who the hell is going to coach for this team? And I'm actually hoping that they push this game back to either Monday or Sunday or Monday, because hopefully that gives a chance for Mr. Ronald Jones to be activated off of COVID, get a day of practice in, and then ball out for my fantasy team in the championship game. But if you could get any team at plus 17 that isn't named the Jets, never mind. After watching the Jets beat the Rams, I just don't know what to expect anymore in the NFL, especially for those huge lines.
Yeah. Maybe they'll bring Jim Caldwell out of retirement. That would be interesting.
I was saying that Jim Harbaugh's available. He's not coaching for the rest of the winter. So
yeah, and he's right there in Michigan.
Go for it.
Let's hit the college football minute. Is there any other games that we didn't talk about yesterday? There is one that popped up for me. I want to talk about Oklahoma as a 3-point underdog against Florida. I like that quite a bit. Kyle Pitts is not going to play in that game, and he is huge for what Florida does. Yes, they played without him this year, and yes, they were able to be okay, but that was I think it was like against Vandy or something where it didn't really matter. Oklahoma can score and can produce points and look good at times. So if you're able, I would take them on the money line. Let's see, when do they play? They play New Year, the day, the 12th, they play the 30th. So the day before New Year's Eve. Miami is always interesting. I like them quite a bit as a short underdog. Once again, I'd probably just take these teams on the money line. So Miami on the money line, Oklahoma on the money line. You still feeling Buffalo?
It depends on the availability of Jarrett Patterson. I saw that he's questionable. He's likely to play, but
DraftKings doing? DraftKings has the game as a pick, but Buffalo, it's minus 190 to bet a pick for Buffalo. Or maybe this is just Action Network. I don't know. It's very interesting. The bowl lines are all over the place. So if you have access to a couple different spots and you can find a couple extra points, or the money line's a little juicier, that could be an interesting way to go.
I think a really interesting game. I don't know which side I would be on. I'd have to dive a little bit deeper here, but seeing Cincinnati as only a 7-point dog to Georgia in the Peach Bowl.
Yeah,
I think to me, I'd lean Georgia just because I think that their defense is something that Cincinnati hasn't faced this year. But I don't think Georgia's faced the kind of offense either that Cincinnati kind of brings to the table.
So Georgia is not the same Georgia. This is more like a Mark Richt style where they'd win 9 or 10 games, be kind of competitive in the SEC, and how Aaron Murray led, Hudson Mason led Georgia Bulldogs. This is also they're a team that came into the season with national championship aspirations. This is a game where they're not going to really be motivated. Cincinnati wants to show everybody that they can compete with the big boys. If I'm betting this game, I'm gonna take a look here.
Well, just like you said, this is a game where you're either taking Cincinnati with the money line, or you just think that Georgia's athletic ability and their talent is just going to crush Cincinnati.
Yep. If you like Cincinnati plus 235 on the money line, that's the way to attack it. If you want to get real aggressive, Cincinnati, Oklahoma, Miami 3-team parlay. Put $5 on it. Thank me later.
Oh
man. Okay, Brian, this was a lot of fun. Good to chat. Good to catch up. As I mentioned, if you missed the other show where we broke down the game on Friday on Christmas Day and then 3 games on Saturday, go check that out. That's on our old YouTube page there. If you're liking what we're doing here, make sure you are subscribed. Make sure you're rating, reviewing, doing all that good stuff. Brian, before we get out of here, we have 2 things to do. I need your best bet for the Sunday, Monday games.
After much deliberation amongst myself and I think my best bet for this week is going to be, don't hate me, your Tennessee Titans getting 3 on the road in Lambeau on Sunday Night Football to once again show to the world that Ryan Tannehill is an MVP candidate, somebody that I backed at the end of last year as a potential MVP, and this year leading this team to potentially a division title and a top 3 seed in the AFC playoffs.
Yeah. I don't hate it. I'll be rooting hard for it as that happens Sunday night. I really want to take the Patriots as my best bet. I really want to so bad.
This is a spot where you could see Bill Belichick just completely screwing people up for sure.
I'm gonna do it. I don't, at this point, what do I care? Patriots money line.
Woo!
Okay, so my recap. Here's my recap for the Sunday, Monday games. Steelers money line. Browns, Chargers over 49, or Broncos, Chargers rather. I can't even read my own handwriting. Rams money line and Patriots money line, and I will be having a 3-team money line parlay of the Steelers, the Rams, and the Patriots. And I will also be doing the Dallas Eagles over, the Cleveland -3, and the Seattle Rams under. I'll be doing a 7-point tease. So 42.5, Browns -3, Steelers under 54. Or no, Seahawks under 54.
Man. It's hard for me to get those teasers going. As Kyle knows, and maybe something I could start tweeting out to the followers, is my favorite things to do are quarter parlays on Sunday morning. And you get close to hit and you win a lot of money. But so for my ticket on this Sunday, I'm right there with you. I like Steelers money line. I like the Denver Broncos getting 3.5 against the Chargers. I like the over 46 in Cincinnati at Houston, as I think both of these teams are able to move the ball on each other. Taking the under in the Rams at Seattle, under 47. And I'm, as I've already talked about, my best bet, Tennessee +3 in Lambeau.
I like it. Let me see what okay. So a Rams, Steelers, Patriots 3-team money line parlay pays over 14-1. So just a little word to the wise there. And if you just want to go Steelers, Rams, and not include New England because that is aggressive, it's still 3-1, a little over 3-1. So
I think this is a great week for those dog money line parlays because there are such small spreads in these games. So this is a good week to make some bread here.
Yep. And if you like Tennessee like Brian, you could throw them in. They're up plus 150, 155. Broncos are plus 160. You could do a few round robins where you throw like 3 or 4 of those teams, and then it makes a couple different parlays for you out of all those teams. So if one of the teams screws you, you still can hit some other ones. But as I've told Brian, and as he's learned very, very wisely, making single bets instead of parlays ends up building your bankroll instead of absolutely crushing your bankroll. Now parlays are fun, and at a, 5, 10, $20, a fraction of whatever your normal unit is fine. I'm not going to tell you what to bet, but I would highly suggest making the majority of your bets straight bets, and then working in parlays and teasers and other stuff to kind of supplement. Not going heavy on, I have $100 left in my account, I'm going to throw a 12-team parlay and see what happens, because it's not going to work.
That's not going to happen.
That's not a process for a consistent bankroll. So
no.
For Brian Twining, I'm Kyle Robert. Good luck over the holidays. Enjoy your holidays with your family or via Zoom or however you're doing it this year. Brian and I will be back to talk week 17. We will also be here Sunday morning post Christmas Day, getting you set for week 16. Hopefully for some championship matches, whether it's 1 or 2 weeks. I have a 2-week league that I'm going to be in. We'll talk to you then. We'll be back on. We'll figure out week 17. Waiver wire isn't really a priority at this point. Doesn't really make sense. So we'll figure out a way to get it for y'all. But and then if you have thoughts on what you'd like to see during the off season, as this season is coming to a conclusion, feel free to drop them in the chat below or in the comment section. Let us know what you'd like to see. We're gonna try and be here at least once a week during the off season. I'm gonna get Brian to give you guys some college basketball plays. We're gonna pick up NASCAR probably in February. There's a lot of stuff heading that way. Golf is coming back. We might dive into that a little bit. Who knows? But let us know what you'd like to see. But for Brian Twining, I'm Kyle Robert, and we'll talk to y'all next time.